We've all heard the stories. We've all seen the tales of the fantastic and epic. We've often dreamed about being in any of these stories ourselves and finally becoming the main character in our own life. But dreams are dreams, and I've yet to discover the one time anything actually happens when I get really pissed at somebody. You know, except for getting into an argument, that is. So today, we'll go for the next best thing. If you want to live your dreams of being the main character in lore, boy oh boy, I've got just the deck for you. For now, we'll have a look at the cards in the deck, and after that, we'll look at its performance in Masters. You might look at this deck and think maybe I was talking about Viego the whole time, but you would be wrong. Viego is pretty much a bait, or rather another mean to achieve our victory royale here. The real main character is the Legion Deserter. He might not look as badass as Viego does, arguably he looks more like a side character, but boy oh boy, he packs a punch. Viego, the Hydra Beam and any cards that give you more mists. All of them are permanent stats for the Legion Deserter. This doesn't only sound broken, it absolutely is. With his special ability, the Deserter learned through years of training, he managed to channel his life force to destroy the enemy nexus within a turn, as a backup plan if you want. With Atrocity, you can drop your stacked Legion and just one-shot the enemy nexus if you haven't won through regular means at that point. Welcome in your personal isekai world, where you take control of the game with big units. On a more serious note, this deck is pretty badass. Try to survive the early game with all of the 1 and 2 drops or removal spells, in the late game go for the kill. Simple enough? So let's have a look at how it performs in ladder. We have 5 games to look at, and I'm not going to pretend that this deck has a 100% win rate, but every good story needs a training arc in my opinion, so that's no problem. And even if there's too much training arcs in your history, we'll just call them fillers for now, and you're still on track to produce your personal rise to fame. For now, we hop into game 1. As we're still just a young lad trying to figure our way in this wild world full of mystery and danger, this may not seem that exciting, but we get a feel for who we are at this stage. We match against a dangerous foe. You might want to consider him our first boss on this journey. He is scary, he's aggressive, and he also has an alcohol problem, so we really want to show him that this is not the way you should live your life and convert him to join our story. Yes, there were close calls, yes, sacrifices had to be made, and yes, it was dangerous, but we pushed through with nothing else than our willpower and 2 atrocities. In this part of our story, we also discovered our great power, the almighty take a look at your nexus, oops, is gone. Name still prone to changes, of course. The next arc of the story takes us to some dark places. A man ravaged by hatred and war, and a man ridden by tricks, swindle and an obvious gambling problem. To overcome our greatest challenge yet, we need to employ the help of one of our allies, Elise the Spider Girl. As many side characters, she might be useless in the grand scale, but we get to survive until we are ready to enter the battlefield. Sadly though, we were caught up in another fight against evil, so we let our pet, the Hydravine, solve this issue for us. Next is our training arc. We face some kind of religious fanatic and her distant relative, the edgy looking wannabe main character. Sadly, as in many training arcs, we lose through our foolishness. Even with all our might, we just can't keep up with our teacher and get jumped by a self-conscious temple that for some apparent reason seemed to only grow stronger the harder we tried. On a more serious note, goddamn this card feels unfair if it gets out of hand. Now we hit our filler episode. Tired from all the training we did just earlier, this will be a quick one. We encounter a singer-gun rogue, a mad scientist and some kind of very old man that can't stop talking about some kind of world ruins that might destroy the world. In my personal opinion though, nobody's ever able to find all of them, so I don't really know what all of the fuss is about. The mad scientist with his robot army is a different story though. Very quickly, our filler cast realizes something feels awry. The robots seem to only get stronger while the mad scientist, protected by his energy shields, laughs in the background. Again, on a more serious note though, my god this match felt bad. But let's get back to our story. In the end the robots took over and there was nobody left to save. Well, as all fill episodes, not great, not necessary, but they exist anyway, so what are you gonna do? Now after surviving a robot apocalypse, a mad cult, some drunkyard and much more, we finally hit the finale. The gambler we've met previous seems to be mad and wants to go for a round 2. This time with his adopted child and his wife. Just to clarify YouTube, no children were harmed in the making of this video, so calm down. As we hit our final arc and things start getting tense, we'll take a closer look at this game. As you can see here, our mulligan is not great. We have 2 7 drops in our hand, which we're not going to be able to play until round 7, so that's not good. For now he's going to go with the Mary Warden, which is a pretty strong 2 drop you can play in the early game, which is also, not great, especially considering our starting hand gives us barely any early game value. The Katarina dropping here is even worse for us. We have no real way to deal with any kind of early rallying, so we'll try to get rid of it as soon as possible, which luckily we're able to do. We're gonna take some face damage in return, but you know, that's fine considering we dodged the Katarina bullet here. We'll top deck the Hapless Aristocrat, which is pretty good for us. We have a lot of kill our own units here, so that is a prime target for that, of course. Also, even if we don't use him to draw some cards or, you know, summon some mists, we always get the value of him reviving afterwards, giving us a chance to block most cards with it, twice. We don't attack here, as the 3-2 is just gonna trade horribly into the 2-1. He's just gonna push face. Him having a elusive here is pretty bad for us because we have no way to deal with that as of right now. That's why we're trying to draw some cards here. That is, you know, quite risky because as you can see, there's always a chance of him just killing it, the unit here. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's killing the unit here. Not great for us, but at least we are going to be able to get some kind of buffs for our main character, Legion Deserter, which we do have in hand. So even though it's not good, it's not terrible either. He's gonna drop the Twisted here. That is horrible for us and we played perfectly into it, so bad luck I guess. We'll drop the Legion Deserter as this is our only unit that we can actually play here. And we'll also drain from the enemy unit, giving us some HP back and giving us another 1-drop to block with. We're not that low on health just yet, but obviously we don't want to drop any lower at this point. 14 health against a high aggression deck is never good news. He's trying to remove our Legion Deserter here. Luckily we have another Encroaching Mist in hand, so it survives for now. Here you can see the value of the Legion Deserter quite well. Him getting +2/+2 from the Encroaching Mist is obviously quite insane. And you're able to dodge a good amount of spells with it, I'd say. He is trying to buff up his elusive unit. As we still don't have any way to deal with that, that's again bad news. But luckily we still have, you know, most of our HP, so for now we're fine. We'll go with the Invasive Hydra now, if he lets us, which he is not apparently. Nonetheless, we will play it after he attacks. We're not gonna block here. There's, as we saw earlier, a lot of deal 1 damage spells in his deck, so the Legion Deserter would just die here. This is pretty risky, because he's playing a high aggression deck with a lot of, you know, damage to enemy nexus spells and stuff. So I'm taking a risk here, but personally speaking, I think it makes sense to take the face damage here. If we lose control of the board, that would be even worse for us. So that's what we're gonna do here. Sadly, Legion Deserter is still gonna get killed, but at least he had to offer up another spell for that, so that's okay. We'll drop the second Hydra Veen now. Having 2 Hydra Veens on board is most of the times just very strong. You can see the Legion Deserter is increasing rapidly, or his stats rather are increasing rapidly. And we also have an Atrocity in hand, and I think you can already see what I'm trying to go for here. He's leveling up the Twisted, which normally would be horrible news for us, but he doesn't have any spell mana or mana in general to play a lot of cards here, so no stun cards, no nothing, which is good news for us. We'll attack here. Obviously we hope that he wants to trade, because these 2 units are thermal. And he is thinking about it, but decides against it in the end. Or, you know, at least he's not blocking all of it. For now, the board stage still is not looking great, gonna be honest. The elusive is still very much annoying, but we have enough to block basically any other thing. He's gonna drop another landmark. Still not getting off the stun from the Twisted though, and no deal 1 damage to all, which, you know, would bring us even closer to death. So that's good. We'll go with the Legion Deserter here. At this point we have pretty much everything we need to one-shot his Nexus. So the only thing we now need him to do is spend all of his spell mana. If he has less than 2, which he now does, he can't play Killer Damaged Unit anymore, if he has that in hand, that is. So at this point we are more or less just completely safe from playing the Atrocity here. And even though this game has been quite close, we are still going to be managed to get the W here. And even though this match didn't go quite as well as, you know, I would have liked, I think you can see the strength of the stack quite well here. For now, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stack yourselves. Maybe play it on ladder also. If you enjoyed the content, please do subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to. If you have any questions especially, I will put the deck code in the description. So if you want to mess around with it, maybe change the deck up, you're free to do that, of course. And yeah, have a good day.